Welcome back to Rarest Photos. Thanks for joining me again. We've had another nice day. Got some rain coming in, obviously, for Halloween. It always rains on Halloween, and I don't understand. You know, my younger ones are disappointed they may be having the trick or treat in the rain, but all I know is it's dry right now, and I got Child Bride in my hand. So thanks for watching as much as you do. I know there's a 30% of you that watch these videos watch all the way to the end, to the very last second, and that I greatly appreciate that. That helps my channel, helps rank up the videos themselves too, so a lot more people can kind of hear them, because YouTube, they want to know that a video is being watched a lot, and there's a very good transactional rate between comments and likes and all that other stuff. In order to push it out to other people that might not have, maybe have a marginal interest in Elvis or the history of Elvis and Priscilla. So yeah, so keep doing what you do. I thank you. And also let me see here, I gotta read this off. I got a nice little super thanks that popped in, and maybe I'll get a chance to put it on the screen, but Cat Whiskers, 1919, new $5 super thanks from Cat Whiskers. Thank you. Appreciate that. And then also Sway Diva, or Sue Diva 12345ism, sent me a super thanks as well today. So appreciate that. Once again, not necessary, but you know, I appreciate it. It goes a long way, because I mean, y'all know that's not free. I mean, that cost me close to $1,000 is what I paid for that. Very expensive. So I mean, I could do videos on it all day long for a year, and I'll never recoup the money. But once again, I get to bring it to you. And of course, these other books aren't as expensive, but you know, they all have a price. So thank you for understanding that. Those that can do it, that do it, and those that can't, don't worry about it. Okay. So where were we last time on Child Bride? And also, hey, I've heard y'all. Some of y'all said, hey, try to slow it down a little bit on the reading. I'm a bit of an excitable guy. I'm used to being an entertainer on stage, and I probably go 1,000 miles a minute sometimes. So I will try to slow it down for y'all. I think I've done a better job on today's videos. We are on chapter 17 of Child Bride, written by Suzanne Finstead. Chapter 17 is called Baby Doll. We've talked about in this last chapter about Paul perhaps abusing Priscilla and the mom, and perhaps in more ways than one, according to people that were around and saw the fear that seemed to be in the household. So now we're on a chapter called Baby Doll, chapter 17. All right, Suzanne Finstead is an attorney, I believe private investigator. She also interviewed Priscilla for this book, and is well documented. For those of you that say it's garbage, or if you've heard people say it's garbage, they didn't sue her. Priscilla and her company did not sue her, which means that there's something here. All right, so chapter 17. Priscilla's relationship with Tom Stewart turned turbulent that fall. Friends gave different accounts of who broke up with whom, each claiming that the other was devastated. Priscilla, true to what would become her romantic trademark, bounced back instantly. While on the rebound from Tom, she dated Al Corey, and then switched to a junior on the football team, Daryl Johnson. She and Daryl had a 3-month fling consisting mostly of passionate kissing and sock hops by his recollection. She was a busy girl then, Al recalled. Priscilla painted this period with a different brush, describing herself as still pining for Elvis and declaring that my head just wasn't in the dating. So we got Tom Stewart, we got Al Corey, got Daryl Johnson. If your head wasn't in the dating, it's probably a good thing, because you would have dated 15 guys instead of those 3 right there. Maybe that's her idea of not dating, huh? Okay. Classmates begged to differ. However, she was always dating, scoffed Donna Paulin. There were so many, it was kind of a joke. So does that mean that they were calling her fast and easy? Because she dated everybody and got around? Maybe. Maybe that's the real Priscilla. I don't know. Elvis became almost a figment of Priscilla's imagination, a comet that passed through her life in the form of a phone call every few months. Can't blame a girl for dating when she only gets a phone call every couple months. So once again, I take both sides of it. I mean, I don't like Priscilla, but I totally understand why a 14-year-old girl would do what a 14-year-old girl. However, it's the lying and getting involved with Elvis and then trapping him that I disagree with. If that's indeed what happened, as allegedly this book says. So by the middle of the football season, Priscilla had bagged the star of the team, a good-looking senior quarterback named Ron Tapp. She was wearing his football jacket within days, going steady. This relationship demonstrated her democratic dating policy. She did an absolute about-face from dating the hood types, as Donna put it, to a Joe College football player. Like a chameleon, Priscilla would adapt to the image of her latest beau. She was very feminine, very refined, always very beautiful, Ron rhapsodized. Maybe that was part of the overall aura of her. Curry Grant, the same gentleman in here that said that he traded intimate relations with Priscilla for the meeting and then training Priscilla on what Elvis would like, says, So Curry, who had been discharged from the Air Force and was living with his family in California, returned to Germany after Christmas for a short visit, and Elvis continued to socialize with him in Hollywood. When he heard that Curry was going to Wiesbaden, Elvis asked him to stop by the Beaulieu's, or Babalu's, and take some photographs of Priscilla. Please, Curry, he entreated, take some pictures and bring them back. I want to see what she looks like now. Priscilla, despite her claim that Curry tried to R.A.P. her, take advantage of her that way, was thrilled to oblige. Desperate for word from Elvis through Curry. Outtakes from the photo session reveal an ebullient, I don't know, E-B-U-L-L-I-N-T, ebullient, maybe, Priscilla and Ann laughing and joking with Curry and Peter von Wetschmar, who was no longer dating or sleeping with Priscilla, according to Peter. He slept with her. Who was no longer dating but tagged along for this photo shoot. Curry recalled Priscilla as giddy at touching him because he had touched Elvis. Obsessed there. Well, Elvis was bobbing in and out with different women. His attention span lasted approximately as long as the 6-week shoots of his increasingly formulaic films. Since leaving the Army 12 months earlier, he had shot G.I. Blues, Flaming Star, Wild in the Country, and part of Blue Hawaii, enjoying serial romances with co-stars Juliet Prowse, who was also with Frank Sinatra, Anne Helm, Tuesday Weld, who was 16 or 17 at the time, and I think it was more innocent with her than anything, for sure, and Hope Lang, as well as a brief affair with a script girl and a steady relationship with Anita Wood. Not just that, he was with his co-star of Blue Hawaii too, I could have sworn. What was her name? Y'all know her name, dark-haired beauty. I could have sworn that he had a relationship with her then, and then also in my favorite movie, Kid Galahad. That's probably my favorite movie. I know I love Jailhouse Rock and King Creole, but Kid Galahad is he was very relaxed in that movie. And a great supporting cast as well. And I love the songs. Home is where the heart is. Home is where the heart is. And my heart is anywhere you are. Anywhere you are. It's a great song. It's Home. And then I Got Lucky. What a great song. King of the Whole Wide World on the back of the actual truck singing, some cool songs. And I love boxing too, anyhow, it looked like Elvis was interested in the film. Maybe that's why I like it so much. And maybe because of his co-star, which I could pick my other phone up and Google it, but I want y'all to say who it is. Co-starred in Kid Galahad, and I'm almost positive she starred in Blue Hawaii as well, and she said Elvis asked her to marry him too. There's kind of a theme here, isn't there? Elvis was romantic for sure. His life was like an endless bachelor party, recreated nightly at a house he was renting on Perugia Way in Bel Air, cast with eager comedy starlets from his pictures and anyone else who was fortunate enough to meet him and catch his fancy. Elvis in 1960 was the dashing prince in the kingdom of Hollywood who, with a wave of his magical wand, could transport some lucky girl into his fairy tale. When I was 15, remembered Patty Perry, a girl I was working with at a beauty school decided that we were going to go to a frat party at LA City College. And we were driving this old Buick down Santa Monica Boulevard in November of 1960, and we see this black Rolls Royce. We pull up, and it's Elvis Presley. We pretend we don't know who it is, and he rolls down his window and says, "Hi." I said, "You look familiar. Do we know you from somewhere?" And he started laughing. Elvis, on his way to record the soundtrack for Flaming Star, gave the girls his phone number and invited them to come to one of his parties. Patty and her friend went to the fraternity house, behaving as if they had encountered a god. "He's gorgeous. Black hair, blue eyes, and he was wearing a sailor hat." Always wore a sailor hat in those days. He did not like to wash his hair. When Patty called the house later and reminded Elvis's cousin who she and her friend were, he offered to send a limousine. Patty and Elvis became instant platonic friends, who she visited in Bel Air. Elvis, who was amused by her brash sense of humor, gave her a pet name, Patricia. Hired her to cut his hair before Larry Geller, obviously, and folded her into his entourage as its only female. "I don't call myself Elvis's hairdresser," Patty said. "I was his little sis." As such, now she obviously replaced who? Okay, I know there's a lot of Elvis fans. Who did she replace as Elvis's little sis? Giving you a second. Those of you that don't know, no worries, you're going to find out. Judy Spreckles. Judy Spreckles was a platonic relationship that Elvis had that was like his little sister. So, and I don't hear much about Judy Spreckles from 60 on. So interesting to hear her say that. Okay, as such, she was privy to the revolving door of women in Elvis's life. Every night there were parties at his house, and every night the girls would drive up. It was like an open party. He was basically dating everyone he was working with. Priscilla was but a distant dream. Elvis, Joe declared, never said to me, "Hey, did we get a letter from her today?" He had Anita, his girlfriend at the time. He was busy with his movies, and Elvis, all his life, he loved women. He always had affairs. No matter how much he loved somebody, he had to be with someone. But there were times he said, "Hey, let's call her up." So he did have Priscilla on his mind every once in a while, basically. Priscilla, ever the competitor, fretted about Elvis's co-stars, poring over Stars and Stripes for any shred of Hollywood gossip. Her imagination running rampant, fueled by rumors of on-set romances, which were barely true. A part of her was still driven to realize her childhood goal, but Curry, who answered her volley of questions about Elvis that spring, did not see her as in love with Elvis. She was starstruck. She didn't know what love was yet. It was just the name value and all the friends she had, all the oohs and ahs. "You're dating Elvis Presley." She was a schoolgirl, and it got to her, just like a proud peacock with her chest out. "Yep, I got Elvis." Priscilla, ironically, was conducting her love life in the same manner as Elvis. She had a life of her own way past anything, kind of in addition to her life with Elvis, as Al Corey put it, kind of like what he did to her. Elvis had no clue. He saw her as this young, innocent girl, posited Joe Esposito, that he wanted to raise the way he wanted her to be. I could see that he knew she was innocent, and he had this thing about virgins and younger girls. That's the reason he liked to date him, because he didn't like the thought of other men having slept with him. Now, that's Joe's opinion. What I think Elvis had the attraction to was somebody innocent that wasn't going to hurt him, someone that wasn't going to take advantage of him, and maybe there was an insecurity there. We don't really know. I mean, and Joe Esposito, some of the stuff he says you agree with, but he's also the one that said he found a suicide note next to Elvis. He said that. And he said he burned it to protect Elvis. He also said that Elvis was in the bed. Now, I could see why he would say Elvis was in the bed and not on the floor, because of the compromising position Elvis was in, to protect the image, to protect his legacy. So I don't know exactly whether we should believe everything Joe says or take some things with a grain of salt. We do know that Priscilla took old Joe for a big old ride. You know, that's another story. But basically, you know, when he would have been able to make some money after Elvis had passed with stuff that he fully owned, she stole it from him. She tricked him out of it. But that's just Priscilla, right? She gets on Elisa Marie, who she's never been on there before, I don't think. She certainly didn't own it. She wasn't even in the will. And she made sure that there were people that couldn't write it. She acted like she owned it. She wasn't in charge of the estate. She wasn't in the will. She should have been making zero decisions. But Priscilla Presley right here, the entitled Prissy. That's what I should name one of them. Maybe I should name, I'm going to name this video Baby Doll probably. But almost every video that you put out on Priscilla on the internet can be titled Entitled Prissy. Because that's really how I feel about her. I feel like she's an entitled little prat. She always was. She still is, in my opinion. Entitled to the money that Elvis fans want to pay her to touch her, to talk to her, because she was with Elvis. Trust me, there's not a bit of Elvis left on her, because there's all the other men that were all over after that. No more Elvis on Priscilla. Nothing at all. And once again, it's her right. But the thing is, she's out there selling and peddling this story about her and Elvis and the love. She had no love for Elvis after the divorce. So, where are we at here? How much more are we going to read here? All right, let's do here. Okay, so when Curry presented his snapshots of Priscilla to Elvis that spring, holding daisies in a field behind her apartment, smiling and fresh-faced, it perpetrated the romantic illusion of the little girl he had left behind, who was saving herself for his touch only. And that was just how Priscilla wanted it, and later falsely presented it in books and interviews. In truth, she could have taught Elvis a trick or two about romantic manipulation and duplicity. Curry had given her proofs of the photos he took of her for Elvis, and Priscilla gave them to her boyfriend, Ron Tapp, the football hero she was going steady with in Germany. Her good friend Ronnie Garland, a perceptive teenager, saw the Elvis relationship as sort of a fantasy in Priscilla. You could look at her and see that this was like a fairy tale, like a fairyland. I'm sure she didn't relate this to life, to normal life, being a freshman girl in high school when she met him. It was like a princess story come true. She went back to her own boyfriend and her own group, everything. This has to have been very bizarre. Ron, who dated Priscilla exclusively all through his senior year, and I believe it's her sophomore year, regarded their relationship as serious on both their parts. The obstacle in the opinion of Priscilla's closest friends was her parents. Apparently, she was not welcome to allow her life to go on that way, Ronnie said, as normal. Ron Tapp concurred, recalling that Paul B. was ultra strict, even imposing a 10:30 curfew on Ron's graduation night, causing them to miss the graduation party. He wanted her back right after graduation. We talked about that, but he won. Ron later found it difficult to believe that Captain Bayou had permitted Elvis to stay at Elvis's house until permitted Priscilla to stay at Elvis's house until 2 and 3 in the morning, unchaperoned the year before. Debbie Ross, Priscilla's other close friend and neighbor, also found it incongruous. As I grew older, I thought, gee, that was really sort of strange that he was strict with her among teenagers, and she was seeing a man who was 10 years older than we were. Debbie, like Ronnie, Al, Suni, and others, recalled Priscilla's father as being strict and gruff about everything. Debbie concluded, as had the others, that the Bayous, or Babalus, had a different policy where Elvis was concerned. There were two sets of rules. Definitely I recall discussing things like that with Priscilla and wondering, well, how does that happen? It happened, one could only conclude, because Paul and Anne were seduced by the glamour and glory of Elvis, Priscilla's teenage boyfriend, and any of her teenage boyfriends just did not stand a chance. The proof of Priscilla's feelings for Ron Tapp were in the picture she gave him. The breezy photos that Curry took of her for Elvis, romping in jeans and a sweater, showing off her Christmas watch, were innocent and youthful, as Elvis saw her. At the same time, however, Priscilla was giving Ron snapshots of herself posing in baby doll pajamas, gazing into the camera with raw seductiveness. In one photo, she's lying on her stomach on the Boyu's living room floor with her left leg bent at the knee suggestively, her baby doll top pulled up above her waist to reveal her panties, a seductive look on her face. So I think that's a good place to stop and talk about it. This is page 122, so I should remember that next time. The reason why we're reading this book is because she continues to tour out there. She continues to share the same washed up stories of her love and how she was going to get back together with Elvis, and they were destined to be together, and they talked about being together. As far as I know, the only one time she tried to reconcile with Elvis, he said, "Don't take my bed for granted in my house." And she wasn't welcome back. That was Christmas of 73 or 72, and he was with Linda at the time. And I think he was perfectly happy and glad that he wasn't with Priscilla anymore. And after that, I didn't hear anything about any reconciliations, any of that. And it's probably because she ran out of money. That's what I think. And then she decided to sue him. That's probably the timing of it. If I know her history of what I've seen. This book is not to put down a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old. Those things happen. I can't be judgy about relationships and curiosity and all that stuff. I've been there, y'all were there. But the difference in this is that she wasn't honest about it. Now, did Elvis deserve honesty? I don't know. I mean, I think there's a double standard there. I think that's something that we all understand, but at the same time, I think he also, according to her, in her book, Elvis and Me, he told her to date. Now I don't know whether that's just assuage his own conscience, because maybe he felt kind of bad. Because, Elvis loved people. He loved women, and it wasn't always a sexual thing with him. He probably made out, he probably talked. I think, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. We weren't there. We can only rely on what people said they heard, and maybe sometimes that was a joke. Maybe it did happen. He's a healthy American person, a healthy male. Doesn't have to be American, but regardless, this book's more about how she continued the story and how they got together, and as soon as they got together, she had an affair. She wasn't happy. She didn't want to marry Elvis, I don't think. She didn't want to be trapped with Elvis. And she got out of it, and she got his money, and then he ended up working really hard the rest of his life. That, I didn't write this book. Suzanne Finstead did. I got my opinions. We can also deduce a lot of the realities of the situation through her writing and her research. Which is well done. She has so many pages of sources. Let me just go back and see if I can show you all this in the camera. These are all the sources right here. You know what you'll find in Priscilla's Elvis and Me? Nothing. Not a single page. This is, I can read off some of these here. In a Glasgow Herald, October 13, 1994. Don Henry, hectic week top by Gals Pajama Party Gab Fest at Boys Dorm. The Overseas Family, Frankfurt, Germany, April 1st, 1960. That's about her skipping into another dorm room with the boys. Beauty Secrets, Harper Bazaar, September of 86. And you've got Anne Iverson Becomes Bride at Pensacola, New London, Evening Day, August 18th, 1944. Literally, she researched dates, times. Anyhow, this is a well-researched book. And that's the point. The Child Bride, written by Suzanne Finstead, had a lot of sources, and that's why Priscilla couldn't sue her. She also sat down and interviewed for Suzanne and got caught in a bunch of lies, basically. According to Suzanne, according to the stress analyzer test, Priscilla's own fault. Maybe she thought she could fool somebody, but you can't fool everybody all the time. Anyways, TCB TLC, leave some comments here. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks for those of you that left me the super thanks. I think I gave you a shout out earlier in the video for the newest ones. Thank you to my members. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you most of all to every one of you for being an Elvis fan and loving Elvis. All right, TCBTLC. Enjoy the music. Leave a comment.
Lisa was the sweetest girl. Her daddy loved her so. Prissy took her to L.A., replaced Elvis with Mike Stone. Then she ran out of cash and sued the king of rock and roll. Made him sell his royalties and play show after show. She put Elvis in an early grave, then laughed upstairs at Graceland. At least that's what a witness said, when Prissy should have saved him. Instead she drank poor Elvis and took Lisa Marie away. Elvis fans, they don't forgive her to this very day. Prissy B should lose the Presley name. Now that Lisa's gone, she left us with her book, telling us all that Prissy B and Michael Edwards took. Took her joy and took her dreams, took her innocence away. And Prissy has the nerve to still get up on stage. She put Elvis in an early grave, then laughed upstairs at Graceland. At least that's what a witness said, when Prissy should have saved him. Instead she drank poor Elvis and took Lisa Marie away. Elvis fans, they don't forgive her to this very day. Prissy B should lose the Presley name. Now that Lisa's gone, she left us with her book, telling us all that Prissy B and Michael Edwards took. Took her joy and took her dreams, took her innocence away. And Prissy has the nerve to still get up on stage. She put Elvis in an early grave, then laughed upstairs at Graceland. At least that's what a witness said, when Prissy should have saved him. Instead she drank poor Elvis and took Lisa Marie away. Elvis fans, they don't forgive her to this very day. Prissy B should lose the Presley name. Prissy B should lose the Presley name. I'm in a blue suede dream tonight, and feel the rhythm come alive. My heart beats to every Elvis song. On my turntable I turn on. Hound dog echoes in my veins, jailhouse rocking through the years. We're all the part of him that red remains as we wipe away our tears. We say thank you to the mailman, say our grace and our amens. Live our life in God we trust. Yeah, Elvis is alive in all of us. Feel the tremor in the night, guitar strings start to hum. Then the stars up there so big and bright, as Elvis starts to strum. We say thank you to the mailman, say our grace and our amens. Live our life in God we trust. Yeah, Elvis is alive in all of us. fallen, but don't wonder why. Elvis' spirit never dies in our soul. For all our lives, we say thank you to the mailman. Say our grace and our amens. Live our life in God we trust. Yeah, Elvis is alive in all of us. Yeah, Elvis is alive in all of us.
Well, I hope you enjoyed another reading of Child Bride. TCB TLC till next time. This is Rare Elvis Photos.